Okay.
Never see the mouse pointer. There you go.
Okay, right. So this is the fifth session that we've got going. Unfortunately, Scott can't make it because he's tested positive for COVID. But we're in safe hands with Howard and Chris and Harry there. So just to recap really over what we've been talking about. There's been a lot of talk. We've done this a number of times now in terms of this slide, in terms of the points of sailing, which is, when you want to go upwind, you've got to be, close hauled. Your sails are in, you sheeted in, you're sitting, your weight is slightly over the edge of the boat, as opposed to when you're going across the wind, which is a beam reach. The sails are out a little bit further. And you have to adjust your weight and the centerboard and think about those things that we've talked about in previous sessions. And then broad reach, again, sails out a little bit further, and sailing sort of downwind, and then a run and a training run as well, where not only are your sails fully out, your centerboard's up, and your weight is near the center of the boat. So that's kind of the quick recap of the points of sailing. And then we had, last week, we did the rigging of a laser. So there's a video. So I'll just play that just to give us a reminder of it. And then Harry or Howard, if you can just quickly talk us through, the main points around the rigging, that'd be great. But I'll play the video first, and then we'll cover that off.
So by having your boat set up well, you can rig and de-rig very quickly. Unless I'm traveling, I don't put my foils in foil bags, as it can damage the foils over a long-term basis if they're put in there when they're wet. So as long as you're not moving your boat, you might as well leave your foils out of the bag in a nice, safe place. I also make sure I roll my sail nice and tightly and leave it on the deck in a place where I know it's not going to get crushed by the cover or anything else. So let's go and rig my laser. Firstly, put the mast together and make sure that the arrow is pointing between the two rivets on the carbon top section. So grabbing my sail, then next is to put the sail onto the mast. That's pretty self-explanatory. You slide it on and all the way down to the bottom. So rigging up on the floor is just quite nice and easy, as long as there's not much sand around. Just means you can rig everything up without it being flapping in the wind when it's on the boat. So I put kicker on first. Then go and put my burgee on. And I put it on the front of the mast. So the pressure of the sails pinning the burgee into the mast and stopping it falling down the sail. So now just putting my clew strap on. And then I next do my elastic, so I cross it underneath the boom here so it doesn't interfere with the sail. Next, I get my other bit of my outhaul through there, through this block here. Then I just loop it around the end of the boom like this. So it's kind of like a quick release system. And then whilst it's on the floor, just tie a slip knot in there to stop it coming undone. But now you're just ready to pick up the rig and put it in and rig the outhaul. So for this outhaul, it's also important to make sure that it's not tangled. But also, I like to have this, twist this block so the outhaul goes kind of underneath the boom. So effectively, it doesn't get in the way of the sail when you're tacking either side. So next up, we got the downhaul. So we'll just quickly do that. So I have my downhaul, so it's on the starboard side. Put this bit through here. Through the block. So the downhaul's on the starboard side for me because it means that when you get to the windward mark, you can easily release it as the control that's closest to you. So once I've got my bottom block here, put it through, and it's all ready to go. Cool. Right, so I don't use a fixed rudder, so my tiller and tiller extension and rudder is all in one. So I'm ready to just slide it under here. So the other thing to think about is the tiller extension and the universal joint. So if you store the tiller extension back on itself like this, it'll gain a memory where when you drop it while sailing, it will immediately spring back into this position, which is not great when you're trying to hike out, trying to steer the boat. By keeping this UJ neutral as possible, you can hopefully give it a memory where it stands up straight, or even better yet, stays forward when you drop it. So therefore, if I did drop it today, it will just fall straight back into my lap, rather than springing back all the way and causing quite a few issues back there. So picking up the sail is pretty easy. I just grab it around the balance point, should be pretty light. Make sure you can get some wind under it so you can see sails filling, makes it a bit easier. And then you can literally just put it up like this. And make sure that it's very gentle on the way down. Don't let it slam down, else you can damage your boat. So just to make it a bit quieter, I'm just going to put the main sheet on so it doesn't flap in the wind. Cool, so we'll do the downhaul first. So I'm running an 8-to-1 purchase system here, so it makes it really easy with a nice new Mark II standard sail. Makes it really easy to adjust whilst you're hiking and in windy weather. So once you've put the rope through the cleats on your base unit, you want to think about a handle. Now, you can either tie a nice loop to make it like that, but I actually prefer an actual physical big bit of rope you can pull. So to do that, I tie a slip knot, and then I put my 2 fingers through here like this, grab this end, pull it through, 2 fingers through, and you effectively repeat this process all the way up until you run out of rope. When you get to the end, just pull the one end through, and you have a nice handle to grab. Once you get in from the day's sailing, you simply grab that, and it all comes out. Simple, effective, and easy. I have got the downhaul on the starboard side, mainly because when you get to windward mark and you're looking to release this control on starboard, the control is easily reachable on that starboard side. If it was on the other side, on this port side, you'd have to reach further in, and it could hinder your performance ever so slightly. Okay, so my downhaul is ready to go. So now I'm going to do the outhaul. So firstly, just removing that slip knot, and then threading it through my compass and watch assembly here. Through the cleats. Now I'm just going to tie a rope handle off here. So tie a slip knot. There we go. We've got a nice handle to grab, and it lets off to the desired point. So on my sail, I've got a few telltales here. They come with the sail, and there's actually a spot marked on every sail sold, which is a small X, which tells you where you should put these telltales. And generally, I actually think they're in pretty much the perfect position. So these telltales just tell me what the trim of the sail is doing when I'm out sailing, and help me to trim the sail more efficiently. So it's also important to make sure the top of your sail is aligned with the bottom of your sail. So when you put the sail on in the first place, and preferably before you put the rig up, just have a look and make sure that the sail is lined up properly. Once the sail's up, you can do this just by looking up the mast and having a look at the crease, which runs all the way up to the top of the mast. That's it. I'm ready to go, basically. Laser's pretty simple, so that's all you need to do.
Right. Did one of you gents just want to go through the those different parts of the laser rigging that you covered off last week?
Yeah, if you like. Yes, I'll do that for you. Okay. So we did most of the sail last week, but just obviously through the boat itself, dagger, rudder board, and we've got the idea of the difference between the dagger board and the center plates which swing. This is a dagger which goes in the slot and you lift straight up and down. If you remember from the rig last week, we had the kicking strap, the most important control, okay? And that allows you to bring the boom down, and remember it tightened the back of the sail, didn't it, when we pulled it on hard. Out haul at the back of the boom, which stretches the foot across the sail. Again, it's all part of powering up and depowering the sail as you go. And then he was talking about his downhaul when he was rigging the boat, and that was the one that pulls down the front of the sail. So, and that again depowers the front edge of all the area in the lap of the sail here. There's one that we didn't mention last week, which is the thing called the clue strap. You might have seen, was that's a total tack strap. Yeah, tack strap goes around the front of us. Clue strap goes around the back of the boom. So basically, where the eye of the sail goes into a pulley to the back of the boom, as you ease it out, the sail will also lift away from the boom. So what we do is this Velcro and strap that goes through that back eye, round the boom. You pull it down tight and Velcro it, and then that'll hold the sail level with the boom all the time. So if you let the outhaul, the sail then runs forward rather than running up. So it's a bit difficult to explain without.
It's because it's a loose-footed sail. So
yeah.
You've got probably on probably on cruising. sail till the boom, but on a loose footed sail, or it isn't, then the boom would just
We can't hear that, Howard. Whoever.
Okay. So
that's good. It'd be a problem.
So it's,
Sail up a bit and
Chris-
move down.
Chris talking quietly again. So well, he's explaining that because the laser has got a loose footed sail, which means the foot of the sail isn't attached to the boom itself. Some boats, for example, as Chris said, the Sandhopper and some big boats, the bottom of the sail slides in a groove all the way along the boom. So that holds it to the boom. The laser doesn't. So it's just attached at the front edge of the tack and at the clew. So the rest of it is completely free of the boom itself. So hence when you let the outhaul off, the clew will separate away from the boom. So the tack strap, so the clew strap is there to hold it to the boom. And I think that's probably the main bits, really, isn't it? Clew strap, elastic. You have elastic running from the outhaul, so that when again you release the outhaul, it shoots forwards. It allows the sail to move a bit easier. So there's a big bit of bungee running from here to about here on the boom. But again, much easier demonstrated when you can see it. Yeah, and obviously the main sheet, which will control the angle of the sail to your boat as you're going. It's how you trim the sail. And again, he's pointed out his telltales, the little bits of cotton that come off the sail. We did mention those very basically, and how they how you use those to tell whether you've got the sail in or out enough. Yeah.
Yep.
Quick resume.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Thanks for the recap. That's good. So I think what Scott wanted us to do for this week was to just go through some of the basic knots for us. Looks like there's a video, so I'll start that, and then maybe Howard and Chris, you can then talk us through a bit more of a practical session. So just bear with, and I'll get this going.
I spend my time making handmade goods to sell, not learning how to design an online store. That's why I use Shopify. Shopify allows me to quickly bring...
So let's start with something very simple. It's called a figure of 8 knot. We're going to make a bit of a loop. We're going to bring the rope round the back and then through from the front to make a figure of 8. So once again, we make a loop, we bring the rope round the back, and then from the front, we go to the back. And that makes a figure of 8. Figure of 8 is very good because it's a stopper knot, stops the rope coming through. And afterwards, because the way the turns are very smooth turns, it's fairly simple to open the figure of 8 up and come back to our original piece of rope.
This is the most important knot. Yes.
Now we're going to do a bowline or a bowline. We actually pronounce it bowline, although it's written bowline. And what a bowline does, it makes a loop in the end of a rope that doesn't get bigger or smaller. So it's not like a hangman's noose. And to do that is quite easy. Here is the rope. I take the free end, I put a cross over the top, I put my fingers like this and give it a twist. Now, if you imagine this part is like a snake coming out of a hole. The snake comes round the back of the tree. The snake goes back down the hole. I now hold the snake. Do you want to pull? Do you want to pull? One more time. I take the free end. I put it at 90 degrees over the rest of the rope. I then give it a little twist like this. And now I
Well,
can snake coming out of a hole. The snake comes out of the hole. It goes round the back of the tree, comes back down the hole. I take the snake's head and tail together and pull the tree. And there is the bowling.
Well, can you pause it a minute, Tolga?
No, I see. Yeah.
Yep.
You want to share it?
Oh, okay.
It might be able to see there.
Oh, he's paused. Oh, I wasn't going to show him. I'm sorry. Anyway. So it's kind of easier if you stop.
Yeah.
Because I've only given you but you've got to you think one end of
Yeah.
I was looking at
one end, so make twist. Doesn't matter which way you do it. So just a twist in with a little line.
Chris, is it possible to show us on camera as well? Is that possible?
Not in the room. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah, brilliant. Good.
Yeah, right. So I've done a twist, but the way I've done it is I've done it towards me. So the bottom towards me. Now, with the tail, the important thing, I might as well sit down.
Good idea.
The important thing is that when you go back through and round your tree, that you, what you're doing is I'll do it front of the camera. So I'm coming from behind, going round, and then back down the rabbit hole. Now what that's doing is locking the rope in 4 different places on it. Right, so, I mean, there are many different ways of doing it. But as long as where you've got your cross, or where the rope crosses, you're coming in and making sort of a 3rd layer. Yeah? Yeah, 3rd layer. Oh, all the time.
All the time.
You'll use that more than any other knot.
So around head of a sail.
Yeah.
What you seeing a sail at the mast? Okay. An outhaul, mine with the best downhaul, the most. Okay. Right. So it's in the loop. Yeah. I just said if I'm trying to time this, I used to use something.
We may be a little while, Tolga.
Right, where are we? Otherwise, you just try and put it together. It's actually roll it. The other way around. So now that's fine. If you will come up, you're going to go down.
Right, you go the other way up.
Yeah. Then you're going to go round. Look at it. So what I do, I'm top of the loop that you're tying is on top of the
Yeah.
you come, it used to be grab it up the hole, round the back of the tree.
Like that.
Up under the hole, round the back, it's a standing part, round the back of the rest of it.
And then through.
Back down the hole again.
So do you go through the house?
That's it. You can just, you can shorten it and straighten it. The beauty of it is you can time it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Always be able to do it. The way you tie it, turn it upside down. That's it. So, tiny car, holding an each end.
Fiddle all day long.
How you doing, Tolga? Can you?
Yeah, it's very difficult because obviously talking.
It needs to.
So
This is a non-Zoom class. This one. Really.
yeah, I think it's difficult to do this one on Zoom, which is I
Can you
guess
see
where the
me?
video helps. But
Can you see what I got in my hand?
yeah,
So you make your loop. Can you see the loop?
yep,
Now the key is, as Chris was trying to explain, I'm putting, let's say I'm trying to tie onto here.
yeah,
The loop of the rope needs to be on top. That way you come up through the hole.
yep,
Then you've got to come round the back of what they call the standing part of the rope, the rest of it,
yep.
and then back down the hole again, and then pull tight. And there's your bowline.
Yep.
If you tied your loop the other way up, so that the standing part is on top,
Yeah.
if you come up and round and down, it's just going to open out and fall out.
Right.
So what you need to do, if you do it that way, you just do the reverse. You go down the hole, round the back, sorry, over the front of it, and back up the hole again. You just do it in opposite. It's the same effect and the same rope.
Yeah.
But again, as I was just explaining, you can tie this as tight as you like. This is the beauty of this. So it's you've hoisted up your sail, you put immense pressure on the top of your sail. This thing has gone rock solid. As I was just saying, I've even towed a car with it. And to untie it will always come undone. To untie a bowline, you turn it upside down. You bring this loop down, so you just break the back.
Yeah.
It's open, and out she comes. And it'll always come undone. There's a brilliant lot to learn. So loop with the top of the loop over the top.
Yep.
Up the hole, round the back, down the hole, pull tight. And away she goes.
Lovely.
All right.
Good demo.
And then turning it upside down, breaking the back of it, it'll always come undone.
And when do we typically use these?
Just about everywhere in the boat. If you're tying, let's say, the head of the sail, for example, a laser, they slip over. But if you've got a halyard that hoists the sail, you tie a bowline at the top. If you've got an out haul, you tie a bowline on the out haul. If you've got reefing lines, you tie a bowline on a reefing line. Your down haul would have a bowline in. Just about every knot that you need to require a fixed loop in, then the remainder of it would have a bowline. That doesn't need to be released quickly in a hurry or under pressure. As I say, they can be released quickly, but if you are doing it in a hurry and under pressure, there are better and quicker knots to do.
So that won't release under strain if it's under strain.
It will not release. It will not release. But if it's under tension, it will never come undone.
Yeah.
Jib sheet, spinnaker sheets to your spinnaker, you would tie a bowline.
Right.
You know, your jib sheets to your jib, perhaps you would tie bowlines.
Yeah.
So it's the most used knot pretty much on any boat, I would say.
Brilliant. Okay. Do you want to watch the rest of the video? Do you want to see what knots are, or?
Let's have a look. We've got a few. Should we just go on to the next one, and we can do more of this after?
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Go on then. Run again. Oh, sheet's bent.
So here is a sheet bend. It's joining a thin rope and a thick rope together. How do we do it? With a thick rope, we make a U-turn. With a thin rope, we come from underneath. We go underneath all of the thick rope. And now we put a tuck underneath, and that makes a sheet bend. If I want to make it more secure, I go through 2 times, and this is called a double sheet bend.
Give it a go. Right. Shall we pause and practice again, Tolga?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come over here with
It's very similar to Reba, very similar. But what it's doing is putting an extra point on the thin rope here. It's what thin rope you want to do, and gives you a bit of through. So turn it into a double sheet then. Double, so always double. So exactly right.
Like that, and
Yeah. Nowhere. Now, does it show it up? Yeah. The reason it's better is because you've got a line here.
yeah.
You've got a line here. And whenever you cross 2 pieces in a row, form lines, you're trying to give you extra security. It's like a lock. You've got a lock there and a lock here. Yeah, that's it.
Shall I do that one again for you here?
Yeah, it'd be great. Thanks.
So that's a double sheet bend. As I was just saying to my learned colleague on my left, he showed a single sheet bend, but the reason it works is because you're taking a bite, i.e. a lock. Can you see this cross here?
Can you hold it slightly higher? That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Every time you cross a rope, it will cause friction and therefore hold.
Yeah.
So a double sheet bend has not only got a lock here, but also when you turn it the other way up, it's got a lock across the back.
Right.
So to demonstrate, can you see that now?
Yep.
Okay. So you make your loop, you come through the loop, just around it. It's a very simple knot to do, and that's your single.
Yeah.
But again, you can see it's only got one bite.
Yeah.
So to convert that into a double, we just simply go around again and under. You sometimes have to pull the thin end up to the thicker end just to squeeze the knot up tight.
Yeah.
But that'll work. So
And when is this typically used, Howard?
so if you've got 2 pieces of rope that you need to join together that are very different thicknesses, it will work best. If you did a reef knot, it's likely to slip undone. Again, it's all about having the crosses and the bites that will help you do it. This way, the bite has just slipped round, and so I've got it across the front. I can move it around the back.
Would you ever have the scenario where the ropes were the same, not thick and thin on the boat, that you would use that, or?
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, you can do. You can use it with the same thickness of ropes. It doesn't really matter. If you're just joining 2 pieces of rope together, a sheet bend is a good idea. The reef knot, people turn them into grannies very easily. The reef knot is that one, but it's got, you can see, you know, it's talking about the bites.
Yeah.
It hasn't got any.
Yeah.
So it will very easily push together and slip undone. Yeah, it's all right quickly and under pressure. If it's kept under tension all the time, it's okay. But if you needed a longer mooring line or a longer tow line, suddenly think, oh crikey, the tow line's not long enough. I've got this bit of rope here. Then you can quickly whip the 2. He says quickly. Whip 2 pieces of rope together, and well, you've got an extra tow rope, and that won't come undone. It won't come undone while you're throwing it to another boat or whatever, it will stay tight.
Great.
Okay.
Yep. Good.
Good
Thank
one
you.
to know, that one, actually.
Thank you.
I like the clover hitch. Everyone likes
Shall I play this next one?
Go on then. Yeah, sorry, we're moving on with it already.
So here's how we tie a clove hitch. We put the tail end over the top, bring him to the left, again over the top, but this time to the right. Bring the loose end, the tail end through the middle, and there's our clove hitch. To undo, we pull the diagonal and we do the knot. Very, very simple. This knot is a good strong hitch. We call it a knot, actually, it's called a hitch. So again, we put the free end, the tail end, over the top and to the left. Now over the top and to the right, up through the middle. There's our clove hitch. We want to adjust the clove hitch, but just the length of this rope or this part of the rope. We pull the diagonal and then move the rope how we want it to be. Move the diagonal, pull the rope how we want it to be. Move the diagonal. Adjust move the diagonal, adjust the rope. Diagonal, the rope. Move the diagonal, just the rope. So it's a very versatile. This is great for trying to fender. You could have a fender here, and you could adjust the height of the fender depending on the berth you're going to and the state of tide if it wasn't a floating pontoon. So,
Go back again. Cross and you've got to come up. That's it.
Right, can you see this target?
Yep.
Chair,
Just about. Yeah. Yeah.
is that better?
That's it.
Okay. I'll come across. So start by going over whatever you're trying to pitch.
Yeah.
And you can come under to either side. If you come under the right, then
Yep.
again, do you remember we were talking about before? It's about the bite. So you cross,
Yep.
that creates the bite. Don't tighten it. Just come under again and under this bit here. And then there's your clove hitch. Good mooring hitch to things to posts. And it should.
If you were Howard, if you were tying your boat to the slipway, would you use that, or would you use a different knot?
I'd tie bowling.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yep.
I'd tie bowling.
I try a rolling knot.
So again, so over, under, cross the rope that you've just taken over and go over again, and then come under. But the temptation is to come under and then go, oh, where do I go now?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you come under, you've got to remember you've got to go through here.
Oh, that's the rolling. No.
Now, there is another way of doing it,
That's the rolling.
and that is to form two loops. And you form two loops, you've got to form them the same way. So you roll across
Yep.
and do the same roll across. So you've got two, but what you do is you take the second one and put it behind the first one.
Yeah.
Drop it over your post, and there's your clove hitch.
Yeah.
So you make a loop. Make a loop exactly the same way, but cross them behind each other, over your post, pull tight. That's just a quicker way of doing it. If you're over a vertical, sometimes a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Perhaps do that, maybe. You'd also use this knot when you're tying fenders. So on a bigger boat, if you're tying fenders to a rail. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of easy to loosen and then adjust, isn't it?
Well, when you're doing a fender, what you do is just do a little bit more. Instead of you bring a loop up rather than the whole thing through. So you bring the loop up like that, your fender's hanging down, and then when you're going, yeah, I need to take my fender off, you just pull, and she's off.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, just bringing a loop up.
Is that the long bit?
Same thing, clovage, but you just haven't brought that all the way through. So it's just a quick release version. Okay.
Good. Thank you. Good demo.
Yeah.
So the other way, if you want to drop it over a post, make 2 loops. So just in the middle of the rope, make a loop. When you're making a loop, what you've got to do is you've got to roll, you've got to twist the ropes in opposite direction. And what they'll do is they'll form their own. Yeah. Try and form the loop above you. That's it. That's it. Here you go. Here you go. That's it. It does it automatically. Don't be done now. Now do exactly the same way. So they've got to go the same way. Right. And then put the second one behind the first one. And then just drop it over your post. So you've got to go the same way. So you just basically, yeah. Okay. Let me do it while you're right. Don't worry. The same way. Yeah. Put that one. That one. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. It's a rope. I'll do a little bit of string. Make them open. Top fenders.
Well, usually it's more. Oh,
What you can do with a fender, you can come around the bottom and do a hitch.
God. North and Broad.
Overnight. Or you do, you're not staying too long. Bring up as a lower. There's your fender. One goes on these move. Yeah. Good. If you're on a big boat, use it a lot. Clove hitch.
Oh no.
Oh.
We're on the different one.
Oh, you're on the bowling. Yeah, that's it. Over.
So it's that's going, that rope goes under the loop basically, it's going to top rope follows.
Top rope follows. Yeah, that's
And
it.
then it comes under, and then it's, yeah.
So the idea when you actually tie, you have one end that's long, it might be going on the bottom, and then one end tying at the top of your sail, for example. Yeah, sure.
Howard, can we just in the interest of time, should we go? Should we do one more?
Okay.
The round turn and 2 half hitches. So if I play this, and then you can
Look at this one, guys.
and then we'll wrap up after that.
There's also round time fences on, but
Oh, okay.
this is similar, not.
Now we're going to do a round turn and 2 half hitches. I tend to call that the 2 and 2 because it's easy to know what we have to do. So we're going to go over the top, 1 and 2. So that's the first part of the 2 and 2. And now to stop the rope coming undone, we're going to put 2 locking turns in. That's the first and that's the second. So you can see we've got 2 turns and 2 locking turns. I call this the 2 and 2. The correct name is the round turn and 2 half hitches. This is a very secure hitch. And what's really good, even if this rope, this part here is on tension, I can adjust very easily, make my adjustment, and then finish off with my 2 locking tucks. So here we have a round turn and 2 half hitches, or you can remember this as the 2 and 2.
No, there's no locks with the rope. One, sit. Half hitch. Sit. What hatches? Yeah.
Hang on. Oh, I know that one. Well, I was supposed to use this one the whole time. Whatever one.
You got one. You got one.
There we go, play it again.
One hitch now. Oh.
Okay.
Through there.
So, are we still in line for the chair?
Yep, good. Thank you.
So, very simple on this one because there's no crossing or locking. It's just over the top, underneath, over the top, underneath, and then the hitches are just half hitch, 1, half hitch, 2. Now, you can do the hitches a number of ways actually. What am I doing?
And typically, when would you use this knot?
Again, perhaps tying up to something, you could use that. It's a quick fix knot because you haven't got to concentrate. You just got to whip it round. The 2 half hitches, and that'll hold it, and that'll hold anything. And if it's under tension, you could use that tying up to a slipway if you wanted to. You know, once you've got the hang of a bowline, I mean, I think this is one of the first knots I learned as a kid, but I don't think I've ever really used it, to be perfectly honest. I will, instead of that, I will always use a bowline. For me, it's more secure. I know it's not going to come undone, and it'll do the same job. The difficulty with the bowline is when it's under tension, you can't undo it. So you need slack in the rope to undo it. So I guess if you've got a line that's is going to be under tension all the time, then a round turn and 2 half hitches will be easier to undo.
Thank you.
In dinghy sailing and most yacht sailing, not something I really use very often. You could use it again tying fenders.
I was going to say, I'm sure I used it. I was taught years ago trying to tie fenders.
Yeah. Well, again, tying a fender, I would use the clay pitch.
Yeah.
It's quick, and when you're standing above a rail,
Yeah.
it's nice and easy. What's the other ones he's got on that list? Sheet bearing round to 2 hitches.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah.
Weird, isn't it? You'll find that, but the wrong way round, or I might like something the wrong way. That's good.
What's your next bit, Tolga?
Well, so I think the last thing. So obviously there was the video. We skipped the rolling hitch just in the interest of time, but that's in the video. Other useful videos that he's put links on here that Scott's put on is around coiling a length of rope, storing it, lasso a clip, picking up a mooring, and leaving a mooring. But
Mhm.
I just think in the interest of time, we'll just leave those on there as links.
Yeah.
And just to say, you know, thank you for you guys being there and showing everyone how to do them. And again, we'll be same place, same time next week. That way we can leave you guys to do a practical session there at the club, and hopefully see you guys next week then.
Wonderful. Okay.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Guys.
Come down if you can. Come down if you can, because it's
Yeah, we'll do.
It's practically.
Yeah.
Oh, then we'll need someone with video camera.
Yeah, that's all right. We can do that.
Definitely. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Take care.
Yeah.